Good morning, self-storage lovers. It is Tuesday morning, and we are talking about three different types of occupancy. I know what you're thinking, Dingsley, one type of occupancy. No, there's three. There's three different types of occupancy. Do you know what? I always knew that obviously not one metric was the biggest metric, like square foot occupied. I always knew that wasn't the thing. But then when I heard about it years ago, it changed the way that I look at pricing. The pricing excuse me, the pricing around each unit. Because once you understand about that, you can tap into supply and demand and increase your revenue, etc. So we get into all that. Don't forget, if you haven't done so already, start to my news. It's bloody cold here. I don't know if you can see, but the wind's horrible. Bottles are flying. Right, my newsletter's called mrselfstorage.com. We have daily information. All my results are published every single day, Monday to Friday, and it is free. I don't know why I said it like that. Right. Okay. So the three different types of occupancy. I've got notes around these as well. And so if I'm looking like I'm reading, I am reading because I want to get this absolutely correct for you. So I'm going to tell you three, and then we're going to go into all three. Number one is unit occupancy. Then it's physical occupancy. And then the crucial one is economic occupancy. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through each of my six sites. Six, yes, I still haven't announced number seven yet. Six sites that I have got. Excuse me. My six sites, and I'm going to tell you at what stage we're at. Okay, so number one, unit occupancy. Unit occupancy represents the percentage of total rented units, offering insights into the popularity and demand for specific unit sizes. Daily monitoring of unit occupancy always allows for strategic adjustments in tenant and street rates. Additionally, it aids in identifying underperforming sizes and informs decisions regarding the property expansion. By breaking down unit occupancy by size, operators can pinpoint the most sought after units and plan development accordingly. I have no idea where I copied and pasted this from. It definitely does not sound like me. It definitely does not sound like me. I did a podcast about this, a newsletter about this a long time ago. And I was like, oh my God, that is a great bit of content. But that's definitely not, I must have copied that and pasted it from somebody. But ultimately, unit occupancy, we then from that information we can decide. It's like Mansfield, right? That's why I'm a big believer. I was coaching somebody not so long ago, and there was like, Dean, I can't sell my single units, my smaller units. And I was like, how many did you get? What did you do? Oh, we got over 150 units. I mean, whoa. You got 150 all at once. You need product market fit. And without that, then you don't, it's okay. We can guesstimate, we can educate, but I believe that I'm pretty good at understanding what people want in a certain area, given the demographics. However, we always let the market decide. The market is the market is the market is the market. Let the market decide. So for me with Mansfield, I knew I was going to do phase one first of all, and then we was going to see which units are popular, which units are more popular than other units. Some areas, you might have bigger size units that are popular because there isn't the industrial units around. There isn't the infrastructure. And so therefore, businesses might need bigger units, 200, 300, 400, even 500, 1,000 square foot. I know of one person who is brilliant at this, gets big, massive, big buildings and then cuts them off into 3,000 square foot, because he knows when it's undersupplied for certain units. Because when you go into the ins and outs, let's call it professionally, of a certain location, it's not just, is it underserviced or overserviced? It's not just that, because it could be underserviced in bigger units, industrial units, 1,000 square foot up, and it could be overserviced in smaller unit sizes. And then we can make decisions based on that. So unit occupancy is very, very important to understand. And I know the big boys and the very, very good players in this industry understand this and utilize it, but I don't hear many independent. I say independents. I know of some very, very, very switched on, good independent operators, and they use this. But majority of the time, it's the big boys who discuss this internally and see the unit occupancy and use decisions based on that. Anyway, physical occupancy. Here we go. Let's read somebody else's words. Physical occupancy, the most commonly discussed type, indicates a percentage of total rentable square foot square footage, see that's not mine, man's foot, but is currently rented. However, relying solely on physical occupancy may lead to misconceptions about performance as it doesn't provide a comprehensive picture. Tracking both unit and physical occupancy is crucial as is illustrated by scenarios where high physical occupancy might conceal vacant units of larger sizes. This comprehensive approach ensures accurate assessments and avoids misleading impressions of success. Yes. So basically, that is a it must have been a solicitor. Yeah, physical occupancy is just that. It's physical occupancy. That's the most commonly discussed type. Yeah, indicates the total amount of. Yeah, it's it's almost. I'll give you an example. It's like Beverly. Beverly a couple of weeks ago was 90% full, 91 or 89% full, somewhere around there. But we only had one unit size available. We only had one unit size available, and that was a 50 square foot. We had loads of 50s, but we had nothing else. So when you look at physical occupancy, you're looking and thinking, we're 9% full, no problems here. But when you look into it, you're thinking, hang about a minute, the 50 square foot, there's loads of them rented that are free. Are the 75s too cheap? Are the 50s too dear? What is the problem here? Can we even chop up the 50s and make them 25s? Because obviously the 35 square foot are full. So is there is there something we can do? I'm trying to think of a word then. I don't know. Anyway, so is there something we can do? Can we maximize our revenue based upon that? And so there's loads of different things we look at, but I knew then we had a problem. It can't be. There's not a load of different issues there. But one problem is the 50 square foot is it too highly priced? Is there not an offer on the 50? Is there an offer on the 75? Is the 75 too cheap? Or the 35 as well? Are the pricing structures close together? Because if we've got a 35, a 75, and a 50, and the pricing structures are correct, there is no way, unless it's a very short period of time, there's no way long term we should have more 50s than anything else, because 50s and 35s are very similar. 50s and 75s are very, very similar as well. So what are we doing? Is the commission we're paying more on 75s? And is that pushing it over? So people are pushing people to the 75s. Is it easier to sell the 75s? Is the sales process exactly the same? And so that's why it's really important to have a breakdown of that as well. The physical occupancy, you can't just rely on physical occupancy. We need to delve a little bit deeper. That's why physical occupancy and unit occupancy work together, amalgamated, makes such sense. Right. This is my favorite one. Economic occupancy. Number 3, economic occupancy offers our wealth of valuable data by calculating rates based on street and tenant rates. Factoring in discounts or concessions, it reflects the actual income generated by the facility, considering various pricing strategies and promotions, maintaining a minimum spend between unit and economic occupancy, ideally 3% or less. Facilities effective rate management. While short-term discounts can influence economic occupancy, a cautious approach is recommended to preserve long-term property value. I put here pretty good. Oh, it was ChatGPT who gave me this. I agree. Here we go. I agree with how Chat summarized these, and here is my take for what it's worth regarding occupancy and where we focus. Do you know what? I'm going to read what I've put here because this is in my own words. I was checked. I knew straight away when I was reading that. I was like thinking, there's no way I can pass this off to as me doing this. There's no way because nobody will believe it. My vocabulary, I can't say that word, isn't as good as that. There's no way. And by the way, if you're new here and you're thinking, is this guy successful in self-storage? What is the level you need to be successful in self-storage? I've got a chance. This is why I tell everybody coming in, the water's really, really warm, and self-storage is the greatest wealth creating industry out there. Anyway, most people focus on just one, physical occupancy. For me, this is wrong. I think I think of the different occupancies like seasons. We focus on one season at a time. We wouldn't wear shorts and vests in the winter, and this is more like me, and we wouldn't wear coats and scarves in the summer. How we show up and act has to be season dependent. When we are opening a facility, it's all about physical occupancy. Almost nothing else matters to a certain degree, I put in brackets. For the first year, it's all about physical occupancy, and of course, you guessed it, physical occupancy, right? I get the point, Dean, physical occupancy. After we hit a certain level of occupancy, our focus shifts. Physical occupancy is no longer the biggest driver. We then focus on revenue management and economic occupancy, right? I want to make a point here that I don't think I've articulated really well. It's not just when you first open, because again, self storage goes in seasons. For me, last summer, Clough Road was at 92% full, 93% full. So all of a sudden, it was not physical occupancy, it was not unit occupancy, it was focusing on driving their economic occupancy high and high and high and high. But as a result of that, I made a mistake. I pushed that too far. I pushed it too far. Although it worked in Wrexham, it didn't work in Clough Road. And so that and again, it's all about implied affordability. The implied affordability around Wrexham is a lot higher than the implied affordability around the Clough Road area. The demographics were different, and therefore, Wrexham could sustain the revenue drive, the pushing up the prices, but Clough Road couldn't. And as soon as we pushed up the prices, hell, we lost over 20% straight away. Not straight away, but over a course of a period of time. And so now we're under 70% full at Clough Road. It now switches back to unit occupancy and physical occupancy, looking at them two metrics now to try and drive it up. Yes, we want economic occupancy. Of course we do. But we know that we're going to have to take short-term pain to drive that economic occupancy up later. And so when you first open a site, yes, it's physical occupancy, get people in. But then it goes in seasons as well. You might lose something during the winter months, so therefore you are more focused on the economic occupancy for the next 3 months or so, like we are, just to get that back up. Right. After we hit a certain level of occupancy, right, here's what we are focusing on at each site. Beverly, economic occupancy. Why? Because we're 90 odd percent full. Don't get me wrong, we did have to think about the units and the unit mix, didn't we, before, because we had too many 50s available. Wrexham, economic occupancy, baby, although we've just had a shop fit now. And so a new shop fit, we've squeezed in some more units. So once they're online, they're not fully online yet because there's been problems. And I was told, by the way, there was no snagging, and then not by the company. But then I went to go and double check, and there was snagging all over. And I'm like, oh, how did we check this and miss this? Anyway, so it's economic occupancy at the minute, but it will be physical occupancy again at some point, merged with unit occupancy. Clough Road, we're going for physical occupancy because I put the prices up a little bit too much, not understanding the demographics around the area and the implied affordability of that area, and it bit me in the butt. So I made a mistake there, and so we're now physical occupancy. Willoughby, it's interesting. We're all three at Willoughby, and I believe that in the summer it will be economic occupancy. Right, Mansfield was physical occupancy, but it's been changed. Why has it been changed? Because Mansfield is storming along. So now, until we get phase 2 done, it is all about economic occupancy and pushing them rates up. Glasgow, a bit of a tough one, this, because it was physical occupancy, and we're waiting to see what the council say. Are we going to get it sorted, resolved? Are we going to be allowed to open there? And so until that's done, we don't really know. So we push the prices up a little bit, and we're trying to focus on, at the minute, economic occupancy. But as soon as we can put more containers on there, then it will be driving the physical occupancy. Right, my friends, I hope this helps. I hope you found it interesting. Yep, I've just put, I hope that helps where your occupancy focus should be. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, my friends. Thank you very much for tuning in. I love you. I appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.